John and Betty woke up one morning, checked their bank account, and saw that it had been completely frozen due to a lawsuit. Now, they had called us and asked us about asset protection. We went into detail about an asset protection trust, LLCs, land trusts, and equity stripping for their real estate. They head scratched. They wanted to think about it. They wanted to do more research. And we warned them what could happen, that their legal opponent could freeze their assets mid-lawsuit, but they wanted to think it over. 12 phone calls later, bam, it was too late. One moment, they were financially secure, and the next, they were scrambling to protect what they'd worked for. But by then, it was too late. To make matters worse, the court order even froze the money that they were planning on using to pay for a legal defense. And unfortunately, in today's litigious society, this is a reality for many. But here's the good news. There is a legal time-tested way to shield your wealth from lawsuits, creditors, and financial predators, and that's what I'm going to talk about. I'm the business guy, the CEO of Lawyers Limited Law Firm and Asset Protection Planners, and today I'm going to show you why you should seriously consider an offshore trust for ultimate asset protection. Now, most people believe that simply having a domestic trust, an LLC, and so on is enough to protect their assets, and most people just keep it in a bank account under their own names. But what happens when a lawsuit arises? What happens when an aggressive creditor, a litigious ex-spouse, or even some overreaching agency somewhere comes knocking? Let's dive into 3 main reasons why an offshore trust is a game changer. Number 1, asset protection. A properly structured offshore trust shields your assets from lawsuits, creditors, and unforeseen financial threats. In fact, in the Cook Islands, for example, located south of Hawaii, the laws are designed to make it nearly impossible for a creditor to break into a trust. Even if a U.S. court imposes a judgment against you, the Cook Islands courts, they don't recognize it. The creditor would have to relitigate the entire case in the Cook Islands, where the burden of proof is far higher. And guess what? They have to prove their case beyond a reasonable doubt. And in many cases, that's a standard even higher than criminal cases in the U.S. And in the 30 years that I've been setting up Cook Islands trusts, no trust that we've set up has lost in court to a creditor, and my firm has set up more Cook Islands trusts than anyone in the world. Number 2, estate planning. Without proper planning, your estate could be subject to excessive taxes, probate delays, and potential disputes. So an offshore trust provides a seamless transition of your wealth to your chosen beneficiaries while maintaining tax neutrality, completely bypassing probate. So what this means is your wealth goes directly to your heirs, let's say your kids, without having to go through the probate courts, without getting tied up in the endless bureaucracy of judges and lawyers and so on. And if you care about leaving a legacy, an offshore trust ensures your wealth stays intact for future generations. Let's say that your kids go through a divorce and the spouse takes half your wealth. With an offshore trust, housing your funds for the inheritance for your kids, that's protected from happening. And number 3, global investment opportunities. An offshore trust allows you to access a wider range of investment options. Many of the world's best investment opportunities, like Swiss private banking, offshore real estate, and international hedge funds, are often restricted to those with offshore entities. So with an offshore trust, you can diversify your portfolio in ways that domestic structures simply can't offer. Now let's break it down. What exactly is an offshore trust and how does it work? That's what we specialize in, asset protection trusts, especially offshore trusts. And the answer is jurisdiction matters. In other words, not all offshore jurisdictions are created equal. Some offer stronger protection laws, while others are more tax-friendly. The Cook Islands stands out as the most protective jurisdiction because of its ironclad trust laws that prioritize the settler's protection. The Belize Trust and the Nevis Trust, Belize being in Central America, an English-speaking country in Central America, by the way, and a Nevis Trust, Nevis being in the Caribbean, also English-speaking, are 2 other strong options. But the Cook Islands Trust, in our experience, remains the gold standard, and I've been in the asset protection field for 34 years, and like I said, I've been setting up the trust in the Cook Islands for about 30. Okay, trust structure explained. An offshore trust consists of 3 main parties: the settler, You, for example, the trustee, a licensed bonded law firm like ours in the Cook Islands, and the beneficiaries, your heirs or whomever you designate, such as your kids. Now, the key difference with a Cook Islands trust is that we place a Cook Islands LLC inside of the trust. We put the bank account in the LLC, and you remain the manager of that LLC until a legal attack occurs. If a lawsuit comes your way, our licensed trustee steps in to protect the assets, making them nearly untouchable. So your friendly neighborhood court says, "Give me the money," and our licensed bonded trustee law firm in the Cook Islands says, "You don't have jurisdiction down here." So in other words, you have access to your money anytime you want, but your legal opponent does not. Now, beyond just protection from lawsuits, an offshore trust provides several additional benefits: privacy and confidentiality. In today's digital world, financial privacy is more important than ever. Offshore trusts provide a high level of confidentiality, shielding your financial holdings from public view. And this makes it significantly harder for legal predators to find your assets. Business advantages. If you're an entrepreneur, an offshore trust can also provide business benefits. Some jurisdictions offer stronger legal protection, better regulatory environments, and more flexible corporate structures. In fact, many of the Fortune 500 companies utilize offshore structures to secure cryptocurrency and protect intellectual property. So how do you set up an offshore trust? It's not as complicated as you might think if you have the right guidance. Professional guidance. If you want your offshore trust to shield you, and really shield you when legal bullets start flying, you really need expert legal and financial guidance. In fact, my firm, Asset Protection Planners, my team has been perfecting this process for nearly 30 years, making it simple and seamless for our clients. In fact, I'm not just saying this because it's my business. I'm saying it because I've seen attorneys who try to dabble in this space and they leave major protection gaps so massive that you could drive a truck through them. And when you have an opponent who's trying to use every angle to poke holes in your asset protection structure and a judge who's not on your side, that leaves very little room for error. Next, due diligence and compliance. You must comply with international regulations, including tax filings and financial disclosures. And the good news, we walk you through much of this so you can work with our legal and tax professionals to help ensure that you stay in compliance. Here are the benefits of a trust administrator. Ongoing trust management is really crucial. In fact, our firm provides professional trust administration to ensure compliance, proper distributions, and continued asset protection. Now, before you take action, let's summarize the key steps that you need to take. Number one, carefully evaluate your needs. An offshore trust isn't for everyone. It's really ideal for those with significant assets. Let's say $500,000 in assets or more, or $250,000, I'd say at a bare minimum. So assets that need maximum protection and financial flexibility. Number two, understand the costs and the risks. While setting up an offshore trust does come with some cost, the price of not having one could be far greater when you face a major lawsuit. And number three, seek expert advice. There's no substitute for experience. Work with professionals who know the ins and outs of offshore asset protection. So what's the next step? If you want to learn more about how an offshore trust can work for you, schedule a free consultation with my team today. You can visit assetprotectionplanners.com for more free information, and you can talk with one of our professionals. And if you're serious and not just curious, and go ahead and get a hold of us. And also remember to subscribe to the channel for more wealth strategies on protecting yourself from lawsuits, and that could save you millions. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.